Hollywood is being rebuilt by artists not afraid to disrupt the status quo, telling fresh stories and bringing to life characters who until now have been confined to the margins. This is Emerging Hollywood. Chris Red, what's up, my brother?
What's going on?
How are you, man?
I'm good, man.
How you feeling?
Bro. Feeling good, feeling a little tired.
Okay.
You know, I've been working hard.
That's an honest answer.
Yeah.
I think after COVID, everybody really answers how they feel when somebody says how they doing.
For real, because I think small talk died for a little while.
You moved from Chicago, from St. Louis at the age of 8.
Yeah.
Well, what was that experience like, that changed for you as a kid?
Man, it was rough because I didn't want to leave. I didn't like change as a kid. I remember specifically my mom saying like she got a job and we were gonna move, and I was like, what? No. Ma, you said we would never ever leave. You know, it's like that child thing.
Right.
You said you'd never leave. We would never go nowhere. And then we went to Chicago, and I was like, oh wait, this is where gangsters are. I want to come here.
Did you know that when you?
Yeah, because
moving at the time?
I was like really into that, right? Because my uncles were gangbanging, and they were the cool ones. You know what I mean? And we were the ones that were living on the outskirts of the city. So I was like really down to get to be around my people, because my parents made sure we were always raised like with our southern roots, you know, intact. So every 6 weeks we would go down to Mississippi for 3 weeks because we had year-round school in St. Louis. And basically what it did was it kept me grounded, but it also made it so that I can never feel comfortable anywhere for real. I always have to feel like I'm on the move.
Yeah. You never get comfortable because you don't know when you have to get up and leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, that probably gave you trust issues with people too, though.
Yes. I don't know why I pointed at you with 2 fingers. Yeah.
I don't trust you.
I don't trust you. No, but it made it tough to like set roots down. And I didn't know that was happening at the time. But now that I've been touring for 12 years doing comedy, and I'm like, that's why I can't sit my ass down nowhere.
Wow. How did that impact you with relationships now, though? Because do you still have problems getting close to people? Because
Well, I've been working on it for some years because I'm in therapy and everything. So I started to realize like the little triggers that I had that I didn't know what to call it. And then when I put the name to the anxiety, my social anxiety I have, and like depression and all that stuff, I was really able to like, oh, I'm not doing this because I don't like this person or whatever. I'm doing this because of this thing that happened
when you was a kid.
Yeah, that I didn't realize.
Now, when you moved to Chicago, y'all moved to the suburbs, right? So were y'all in the hood in St. Louis?
We were in St. Louis proper, then we were in St. Charles, which was just like on the outskirts. It was a suburb. Racist ass suburb. My parents had an affinity for moving us to white racist suburbs, but they're from Mississippi, so I think in comparison it wasn't bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were trying to set us up.
I'll take a little bit of racism if it's a better education for my kids.
100%. Like they got nice computers. You can take there too. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They got new books. What are you complaining about?
Word.
You know? But for us, it was like, yo, I want to be around my people.
How did growing up there shape your outlook of the world?
I saw how work ethic can like sustain you, you know, and being able to like communicate with anybody and work with anybody and be around people, and how important to have patience is with people. Because I had anger issues. I didn't have a lot of patience when I was younger, but over time I learned how to have it. But it really shaped me in being able to go in any situation and feel comfortable. My family was in the hood, so I would always visit them. So I was always able to go to any situation and just be able to blend in and know how to handle myself. So it really helped in that way. And then like how to handle like people I don't agree with. You know what I mean?
When you say don't agree with, you mean like on the social level, racial, everything?
On social level, racial level, whether it's white or black, you know what I mean? And learning how to separate the art from the person was something that we learned real early as Chicagoans. You know what I mean? You see Kels pull up to high school and you're like, what? Hold on.
Hold on, so you saw some of that?
Bro, yeah, he used to pull up at Oak Park and he would pick up like one of my cousin's friends.
No.
Yeah, I hated it, dog. But I was stepping in the name of love still, but I hated it.
When you were younger, did you even recognize like that's wrong what he's doing?
I recognized it with Aaliyah, because I had a huge crush on Aaliyah, and then I was like, wait, she's dating him? He out? What?
Yeah.
We letting this happen? You know, and like, why are we letting Kels do this? Well,
you know what's crazy? When you was younger and you used to see the older dudes picking up the young girls, all you thought in your mind as a young kid was like, man, I gotta get me some money.
I gotta get a job. But I also had friends who were dating older dudes, and they were always like, you know, I don't date none of y'all young. I date this guy who works at Blockbuster. He's 25. And I get free tapes. I'm like, bro, I used to hate this dog. And then I became 25, and I was like, ugh, oh, they was real gross. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because you look at the little baby, like, what are you doing, dog?
100%. Now, your parents been together for 33 years.
Oh, they corrected me. They've been together for 38 years.
38 years, my
Yeah,
God. What was
yeah.
your relationship like with them growing up?
It was rough at first because like my dad's a Southern man and like he did a lot of growing throughout my life, but like he was very much, we ain't friends. I'm your dad and that's it. So like the communication was a little short. He also has anxiety. That's where I got it from. My mom's was like a working woman, had a lot on her plate, and she was a little bit mean and strict. If you weren't going like the route that she went, school, you know what I mean, like, which I never did, then we just bumped heads. We bumped heads a lot, so I was always in and out the house and just got kicked out real young and started living with friends and wanted to be in the streets doing dumb shit.
What did your parents instill in you?
Definitely work ethic, man.
Okay.
They both worked, you know what I mean, and they both made sure that their family was straight, and family was always a priority, even if we were bumping heads. Like, I remember not even being in a house. I was like kicked out at like 16, not even being in the house, but like holidays, you show up and like Thanksgiving, you come in this door. You come in the house, you having dinner with us, and then you go out and do it. So I remember I would always have to come home Christmases, you would always come back. And it was like working through things, even if you don't see eye to eye, you work through it because it's family, you only got one of them. And dealing with certain things like racism, and we saw things differently with racism. They were about the thing of like never let them see you sweat. And I feel like that has like a negative connotation to it sometimes because
100%.
people don't know where you stand. So they can keep pushing your buttons and keep triggering you if you don't like express yourself. And so I really took that to heart growing up. There were some situations where I was like, damn, I think I'm not communicating how I feel the right way. And it's because I have this thing in my head that I've been living by of never let them see you sweat. Sometimes they need to see that sweat
100%.
so they can back the hell up. You know what I mean?
And how did that affect how you would later approach things in regards to like your mental health?
Mental health was not a conversation.
At all?
Nah, I remember trying to figure it out because I knew something was wrong. And I had some, I just went through it as a kid. I remember writing this note, like, I'm having thoughts of just killing myself. And I wrote this note and I left it in the kitchen so that, like, because I knew every morning they walked past and they would see it. They saw it, but they never spoke about it. And so I saw the note and I put it back and I just never did it. Clearly, I wasn't really about that life, but I remember vividly feeling it that way, But it was a thing where, like, it took me a long time to really go and figure it out. And it wasn't until I got SNL and when all my anxiety was, like, really at the height of everything.
Success.
I had worked for so long to get like everything that I was getting, and I was like taking vacations, and I was still sad. And I was like, how am I sad on a beach and the sun is out? This is crazy, son. Something's wrong. And so then I finally went and did therapy. And then when I started talking to my folks, and I was like, hey, we're gonna have some tough conversations. I'm working through some things, so I hope y'all are ready for that. And they were mad open about it, and to the point where they were having therapy sessions through me. So I would have my therapy sessions, call them, and then they were like, so when you feeling this way, what is this? I'm like, y'all can go to therapy if you want to.
I feel like we're the first generation that has the luxury of healing, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like when you started your healing process, going to therapy and everything, how did it make you view your parents differently?
Oh, I had so much more appreciation for everything. It was a lot of years, me and my mom's bumped heads. It was like, well, there was a lot of shit I didn't understand. Black woman in insurance in Chicago, just like the first of her kind, that she made it out of Mississippi and moved us there. And it was dealing with all kinds of racism at work, but still coming home and like putting food on the table. And nothing changed my perception, like looking at the birth certificate, hitting my 30s, looking at when they started a family and being like, damn, 32, I had just made a real check at 32. You know what I'm saying? There's no way I could have started a family. Like, it just puts everything in perspective, you know what I mean?
Or you understand the stress and everything that they were going through.
Yeah.
And you realize that they were just doing the best they could with what they had.
100%.
Financially, mentally, spiritually, everything.
Everything, man. Just like day by day, like we do.
I read when DMX passed, you tweeted he was easily one of your favorite rappers growing up, and that your childhood would not have been the same without him. So how did X influence you?
X was what I wanted to be. X was, you know what I'm saying? Like, X was just cold. He was hard. I love dogs. He was a dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was just, he was authentically him all of the time.
All the time.
It was just like, oh, he real. Like, he loved God, but he'll knock your ass out, though. And his music was just hard. It was energizing. And I had, like, I was real manic as a kid because I had a lot of energy because I got ADHD and shit, and I didn't know how to, like, control that. So that energy was something I liked. Like, she just changed my life. I bumped that man every single day. Flesh of my flesh, I know every word of that damn thing, like all them tracks.
I saw you say slipping basically got you through a depression.
Yeah. I was going through a lot of shit in school, and so between that and this like breakup I was going through, I was listening to that and just really like having those dark thoughts and just knowing that it could be better. I'm like, DMX was a great like representation of he's going through worse. I worked on perspective a lot, which is something my pops would talk about a lot with having patience, is having perception and taking a step back and seeing that shit ain't that bad, you know.
So where did the sense of humor come from?
It came from my social anxiety. I was always uncomfortable talking to people or getting vulnerable. So what I would do is I would study all these comedians and listen to comedy. I would just study comedy a lot just to be able to hang in conversations, to walk up to the lunch table and be able to say something, people laughed, and I get comfortable.
When did you develop that skill? You remember what age?
Oh, like early. I listened to Richard Pryor's album for the first time when I was 8. When we go to church, I would just be trying to tell jokes. I remember getting in trouble for that because I had said one of his mud bone jokes, and they were like, "You can't say that in church." But people were laughing, and I was like, "Ooh!" And I just remember loving that feeling. But I was rapping at the time, so it didn't really register to me that I wanted to do comedy until I hosted this event at my community college, this variety show, and it was the first time I ever hosted something, and it was like 400 people there. I was nervous as hell, and this dude was doing this nunchuck routine, and he was just like and I walked out after, and I was like, damn, give it up for the only ninja that'll kick your ass and his own ass. And like, everybody died. And I was like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Feeling, you got that feeling.
Yeah, it was something I had never felt, not even with rap, not even killing the show, nothing like that.
SNL was like would you consider that your first big break?
And SNL was the first time I was like, okay, I'm really on TV for real, and like I'm here. You know, Chicago, I really grew up in that scene of improv and sketch, and I just always wanted to do a sketch comedy show. SNL's like the Super Bowl of all that, you know? But I really wanted to go there and learn what they do and then make my own thing, you know what I mean? Because I didn't know if I was ever going to either get on SNL, you don't know if you're going to like pop or be good on the show. So I always have like a plan. So I'm like, okay, if they kick me off after a year, I've learned their techniques, and I'm just gonna go apply it to my own thing, you know. But it's just the history, man. Eddie, like the people who really got me into comedy, I just want to be a part of that legacy. You know what I mean?
You auditioned?
I auditioned. Yeah, the first year I auditioned, and I did well. And then on my way home, somebody had leaked that I had got the job before I even knew I got the job.
Wow.
All these articles were coming out, so I'm on the plane sitting next to Melissa Villaseñor, who's on the show. And she auditioned with me, and her and Alex Moffat, we're sitting on there. I'm seeing all these headlines go on, and we're sitting next to each other. She's not in this headline. It's just me and Mikey Day at the time. And I don't know what to say. I'm like, this is not how you get jobs. You don't get jobs from like headlines. It ended up that they just leaked it. I never got the job. They put me on this like hold for a year, but they never like cleaned up that thing. So everybody just thought I had the job for like a year. That next year, when I actually got the job, they were like, okay, so we're gonna make the announcement in 4 days. I was like, 4 days, all right.
Oh, now on SNL, you play a lot of black characters.
Yeah.
And those characters might not even be represented if they didn't have somebody like you on the cast. How do you feel about that?
I feel like there's no way around, it's no way around that, because what you're trying to do as a variety show is do stuff for your culture that represents what you like to do. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing to us that we have this many black people to make a dinner scene. I'm excited about that, because if I wasn't there, they wouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean? It does get a little weird. Daniel Kaluuya hosted, and we did this vaccine sketch. And when you see black people talking about it, sometimes they'll be like, what? They saying that we don't get the vaccine? Like, that's not what the sketch is saying. We were all sitting in a room like, hey man, this is funny to us because we have people in our lives, and you might have people in your life that have this conversation. So we want to give something that you can relate to, but we're not trying to say and represent everybody in a way that in a negative way. We're just not trying to do that. I feel privileged in that way, but sometimes people take it different. You know,
that's always the pressure of being one of the only black people in this space, because black people are not monolithic. But
at all.
Also, I'm not representing all black people.
Right.
I'm black and I'm representing me and myself, but I'm not representing the whole black community.
Not at all. It's but they will come at you sometimes like you trying to do that.
You know, of the current cast, of the part calls for black guys, you and Keenan.
Yeah.
Michael Shea, but he's really just on Weekend Update, so the options are limited. It's not like that for the white guys. Is that something you talk about with Keenan and Michael?
Oh, we don't have to talk about it. We just, it's just like something you come in knowing, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And there's tracks, because there's definitely, I call SNL kind of little Hollywood how it's built up, you know? And so you have your famous folks, you got your leaders of the pack, you got your newbies, you know, and everybody's trying to like get in where they fit in. When it's a very famous black person that they want to write about, I always be like, all right, it's probably going to Keenan, you know, because Keenan been there, and it's going to go to Keenan first. And if it's not, or if it's a person that looks like really like me to the T, then it's going to go to me unless I have something for it, and I can go to them. But like that's kind of how it works out. And Chase kind of never in anything unless he wants to be in something. You know what I mean? That's a thing we've just come to understand. Like we know when somebody black is in the news or somebody black is doing something, one of us are gonna play it.
How have you grown since joining the show in 2017?
In so many ways, bro. Just being able to understand and deal with the pressures of the job, to understand how to write better, to understand like production and producing a sketch in a short amount of time, what you need, and being just real proactive about like just getting things done, man. I'm just stronger as a comic. I'm still learning from that place too. I'm still stretching like impressions, and because I didn't really do impressions. I like doing characters. And impressionist was never something I saw myself doing. So when I was like pushed in that way, it really like opened up a thing in my mind. Like, oh, maybe I can do some more of these. You know what I mean?
Do you ever feel hesitancy or like pushback, like pitching a skit that's unapologetically black?
No, I do it all the time.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the job, is like to pitch something and see if it worked. You know, Soulja Boy was like nobody white knew who that was.
That's crazy.
And I was like, yo, if we just write it funny though, dog, if we just write it as funny as we can, you know, maybe they'll look past the fact they don't know this.
And that's wild, because I mean, even that week he did like 20 million views on YouTube
Bro,
or something crazy.
At that job, you really see the separation in what fame and relevancy is, depending on who you are and what chair you're sitting in. And white culture and black culture, while they like intersect and intertwine and work together, there's still shit that's really, really popping to us that they have no idea is happening. And Soulja's always been like, anytime he does something, it's going viral. But it won't even touch some of their worlds at all.
That's right.
So it's really about that balance. Man, I remember having Method Man in a Fresh Prince sketch, and he came on the screen and no one reacted, and it was wild to me. I was
at SNL?
And I was angry. I was like, what the? That's Method Man, bro. Pete just had him in the Walking in Staten video, and they made some noise. I'm like, yeah, about time y'all respect him. But also he's been working like crazy since then. There was a 5-year difference between those two.
Who wrote Kim K's monologue, man?
Woo.
It's been rumors. They said it was Michelle Wolf, but then they said it was the cast of SNL. Like,
man, she
Kurt Chappelle.
She has some heavy hitters. I feel like who y'all are hearing is probably pretty accurate, but she has some heavy hitters, man, taking care of her, dog.
But y'all sworn to secrecy on that or something?
Nah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm sworn to secrecy or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All those names that you just mentioned were involved. That's what I heard too. You know what I mean?
Good one. He said, that's what I heard.
That's what I heard.
They were involved, but that's what I heard. I ain't see it.
I remember being at that table read, dog, and hearing that monologue, and I was like, yo. And she's like, is it good? I'm like, yo, if you do it just like that, unapologetically, like, that's.
So were the people who wrote the monologue at the table read too?
No.
Okay.
Nah, they weren't at the table read. Did you hear the names you just said? They don't be just showing up to table reads.
I didn't know. What's the grind like for SNL? I mean, we know it's constant. It's constant hustle. How does that affect you mentally? Do you look forward to when y'all are off?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Because I go so hard, just in general, but like especially with that show, to be good at it. I'm an insomniac, so my sleep patterns are really messed up. But every time it gets close to September, like my adrenaline just starts pumping around 12. Around midnight to push me through these all-nighters. Because you basically like Tuesday night to Wednesdays has been one day for me for the past 5 years.
Tuesday night to
Wednesday, yeah. Because you're like Tuesday's writing night and then Wednesday's table read, but you're up all Tuesday night just like writing and getting things together because your due date time for your sketch to be turned in is noon that next day? So you might be writing 3 or 4 things, or if you're doing a song, you gotta make the beats and do the edits and all that before noon that next day.
So how do you disconnect?
Man, I'm learning how to disconnect by just sleeping. I don't get a lot of sleep. Forcing myself to go into my sleep routines. I need that in order to like keep the anxiety down and actually rest. Taking vacations. I just took my first or my second real vacation.
Ever?
Yeah.
In life?
Ever, though.
Oh, no, you need more of those.
It's crazy because I was setting up my tour schedule and I purposely put breaks all throughout my tour so I could force myself to take off and learn how to just do that on a regular basis. Because I just went this year and a half just straight on like every day, including weekends, working or shooting something. So I was like, man, I need to learn how to chill.
Yeah, I learned that staying busy is a trauma response.
Yes.
And being that I've been fired 7 times in life, but 4 times from radio, so I never wanted to take no break. I'm like, if I take a break, I'm not gonna have anything when I come back.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you can't pour from an empty cup. You gotta disconnect.
It's definitely a trauma response because I was like, yo, I gotta go hard because someone's right behind you working harder than you working. And I just remember all them years, I was broke to 31, so like, I just had so many years of seeing my checking account in the red and just not having much, you know.
Right.
So I was hustling like I was still in that place and not adjusting myself to where I am now. It took therapy and time to really get there, you know what I mean? But now I'm working on it, you know, trying to chill.
Absolutely. You were among 19 Black Second City alumni to sign an open letter publicly demanding an investigation into the theater's history of racism and sexual misconduct. Did you ever second guess that decision or waver at making that decision?
Nope, not at all, man. I think that institutions need to look at themselves and work on things. And I loved working at Second City. It gave me all the foundation I needed. I built a lot of bonds there, so it wasn't like I was hating the place. There was also times where I would work hard and get something, and one of my teachers would come up like, hey, man, it's great to be Black, huh? Because you get fast-tracked in here.
Wow.
Hating on this bruh.
Wow.
I'm like, fast-tracked? Good to be Black in here? Bruh, come on now.
Like you didn't work hard to earn your spot.
Or you're negating how hard it is to be Black in improv. You know what I mean? We just had to fight and establish ourselves. So I think it was just gonna make it a better community and more open if people paid attention to that kind of thing. I think the issues that we wanted to talk about and get addressed got addressed.
Absolutely.
So I don't regret that shit at all.
Some people will say that you jinxed Black people because at the end of February 2020, you said on Weekend Update, Black people cannot get coronavirus.
Yo, so I did an update addressing that, but I'll address it here because see, the way you write updates is like you say the most wild thing you can at the end of it. Now, when that happened, it was a week before it became a pandemic for real. So when I wrote that update and I did that update, it was only on a cruise ship. Whitest cruise ship. It wasn't Tom Joyner's cruise ship. It was a white ass cruise ship, and it was only like about 17 white people that had this virus.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, Black people can't get that shit, you know. And so I just yelled that because it was like, yeah, every person that is getting it is white, and we can't get it.
I remember that being a thing on social media.
Yeah.
People saying that melanin protected you from COVID.
100%,
I remember that.
Yeah. And so, you know, we were all learning day to day. Turns out the day I learned what I said was hella wrong was the next day, I think. Because they were like, oh, it's affected our communities more than anybody else. I was like, wow, that aged poorly, you know? I'm not a scientist. You know what I mean?
Why are they listening to you anyway?
I never intended that. Look at my grade. I don't know what's going on.
Let's talk some self-care and mindfulness, man. Like, what do you do when you need to put your mind at ease?
I box every day. So that helps me with my anger issues and my it just sets my tone, the tone for the day, keep my mind right, my body right. I relax, I sit, I read, meditate, I guess. I be trying to meditate and sometimes I do and then most times I just nap, you know what I mean? Like but I just try to zen out and not like, I try to keep my screen time down.
How often do you talk about like mental health openly with your family and friends?
All the time. Cause I'm just hope that I can influence them to like care about that thing too, you know. And I put it in my set. I talk about it in my comedy. You know, I just think it's an important thing. And I know you talk about it a lot, which I love. And I think that Black men in general should be talking about this more because all men need therapy. You know, we all need it. Everybody needs therapy. I feel like if you're walking on earth, you need it. But
100%. 3 things changed my life: God, Black women, therapy.
4 things I would say, yo, this and money. But
I think that's why I got to the money the way I did.
100%.
Because of those 3 things. Do you approach self-care and mental health differently now than when you were younger?
Oh, 100%, man. Cause like I remember going to a therapist one time when I was younger. It didn't really connect with me. And then I knew I had anxiety and I went to a doctor about it to talk about it. And then they were like, hey, do you smoke weed? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, well, stop doing that. You'll be fine. And it's like, so no one was trying to really help.
Right.
And so but I was giving up real quick. Whereas like now I was like, I knew there was an issue and a problem. And I was just older too. So I took it more serious. I saw my friends well-adjusted as hell, like going in there. I was like, and I realized after doing it, like, man, you can really tell when somebody's not working on themselves in that way.
100%.
You know? And I just didn't want to be the person not growing, not evolving myself, you know?
When you went younger, what was it for? Behavioral issues as a kid?
Yeah.
Same.
Really?
Why they do that to us, man?
Dog.
They do that to every black man, young black man. You act up in school, now you got to go see the therapist.
Right. Truly, I was acting up a lot. I was beating up a lot of white boys, but
Same.
They asked for it, though. They were asking for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had anger issues, and they were, well, why? Like, what are you mad about? I'm like, sometimes I don't know. That's the issue. What, aren't you the scientist?
Yeah.
Didn't you study this? Why are you, why don't you know how to get to the core? And getting a good therapist that really knows what they're talking about changes the whole thing. Because once I had a good one, I was like, oh, this is what I was searching for.
All right, let's talk about Keenan.
Yeah.
You're part of the cast of Keenan. What's it been like working on that show with Keenan himself, outside of the SNL setting?
Yeah, man, that's bro, that's family, and we have such a great chemistry comedically, bro. In life in general, but comedically, we just build off each other. It's not work for real. You know what I mean? We show up, have a good time, elevate things around us, and our whole cast kind of like clicked as a family like quick in this unbelievable way.
It's good to see Keenan getting his just due because he's been around for such a long time. Has he always been like a mentor to you?
Yeah, dog. Like from the first day I walked in to SNL, he was like, take me under his wing. Like he's like that with everybody almost. He's just like the godfather of that place. You know what I mean? Like no one's been there as long as him. No one's gonna be there as long as him. But he has all the wisdom and a cool approach to all of this.
I've been wanting to ask you about this since we've been here all day today. The Peacock comedy show, Bust Down.
Yeah.
What is that show about?
Bro, it's about 4 friends in Gary, Indiana at this casino.
Why Gary, Indiana?
Because we wanted to pick a place that just nobody want to go to for real. We wanted to pick the most normal non-Hollywood place.
Word.
You know what I mean? In the middle of the country, and it's just like 4 people who just want to solve issues the only way they know how, and they're just fucking it up. It's a black version of like Always Sunny. So every episode we have like a topic that we're gonna tackle, and all 4 of us try to tackle in a certain kind of way. And me, Sam J, Jack Knight, and Langston Kerman wrote it and created it, and we've been friends. We're friends for real, and like it's like a 5-year journey, bro, to make this black show. We went to white room to white room, just like
trying to make this black show.
Trying to make this black ass show.
Gary, Indiana, though, that's the Jacksons and Freddie Gibbs.
And Freddie Gibbs plays our HR person in the show, and he kills it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
A lot of Jackson references?
Not one.
Okay.
Not one.
Man, I can't wait to see that. What do you got on your career bucket list still?
To do more shows like the ones I'm doing, more movies, specials. I'm working on a stand-up special for HBO Max now. I just want to continue to do what I'm doing just on a bigger level and do things that are more me focused, where I can lead some things, but just do things that really move me and give back to the culture,
Who's somebody you'd love to work with?
Oh man, it's so many. I would love to work with Donald Glover again, for sure. I'd love to do something with Issa. I would love to do something with Dave. I mean, I can name a bunch of folks.
Is there something outside of comedy you're eyeing in the horizon?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a musical comedy visual album. I've been working on that for a while, and a Black Charlie Chaplin thing I want to do. I really like Charlie Chaplin, what he did for television and culture, and I think I want to do a version, something like that.
Interesting. I wonder what that would look like in this era.
I know.
Yeah.
Yep, that's been the thing we've been working on.
All right. Now, if you could go back, this is my last question. What would you tell an 18-year-old Chris Redd?
Finish school a little bit. Just stay in the community college. Just finish that creative writing course you wanted to do. And I would tell them that like you don't have to like. There was like a job or two I could have got that could have helped me out. I don't know, because if you change one thing, it could change the direction. You know what I would have said? I would have said, hey man, buckle up, bro, because you ain't about to pop till you 31. So buckle up. But everything you're doing it right, but buckle up, bro. It's gonna be a while.
So what do you want to say to a 50-year-old Chris Redd?
Hey man, how many houses we got? How much land do we have? How many people did we put on by now?
Word.
You know, like, because by that time I want to be giving back to everybody in my life, giving back to my city, all the cities I've lived in that helped make me who I am. I would hopefully I have some kind of school in Chicago for kids who don't learn the same as everybody else, or just like who want to take a creative path. Like I just want to. There's things I want to do in land I want to buy for my people.
All right.
Yeah, so I'm hoping I'm doing that.
Chris, pleasure building with you, King.
Hey man, amazing time, man.
Absolutely.
For real. This is great, dog.
100%.